I was looking at some data like last week when I was researching for a video, and yeah, McLaren have gained almost like a second worth of lap time and race pace.
Nice.
Just through that Austria upgrade.
Yeah.
Relative to Red Bull, they've basically just launched themselves into the top three battle with, top three behind Red Bull. Mercedes, Ferrari and Aston Martin. And we talk about Aston Martin and Ferrari and Mercedes and say like, they kind of fell off, but McLaren have basically just aced it.
McLaren have just filled that gap, really.
Yeah.
There was always a big gap between Red Bull and Mercedes and Ferrari, and obviously Aston Martin as well. Aston Martin propelled themselves up the grid, but there was still a big gap up to then Red Bull. McLaren have just kind of slotted themselves in there.
Yeah.
Well, it's what Fernando Alonso said. Like he said after qualifying in Hungary, they're still the same distance off Red Bull they were at the start of the season. It's just that distance was a podium 10 races ago. And now everyone else has taken those steps forward. Like Ferrari do look quicker, Mercedes do look quicker. McLaren have then also just made a huge jump. It looks so much quicker as well. Just filled that space, as you say, like between Red Bull and Aston Martin, there was a gap there, and it's now being filled up by those cars to the point where Stroll and Alonso finished 9th and 10th today, where Fernando Alonso was like, we'll get a podium every single race.
He really should not have said that.
He shouldn't have said
it's
that.
It's gone so badly wrong since
Roded of De Vries.
I was going to say, they both. De Vries obviously shot himself in the foot numerous times, but he came in saying, I'm going to win. I'm going to not win, but I'm going to do bits.
Yeah.
And now Alonso's sort of done the same thing. But I mean, maybe they've got something hidden that they're going to come out with.
Yeah.
A couple of races. You never know.
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they were talking big about upgrades like a couple of races ago, but to be honest, from what I've seen, I can't really see any indication that they're gonna do anything big anytime soon.
It's a shame though, because I was really enjoying Alonso being up there and being a dad to Lance Stroll for like no reason. Like just being like a new surrogate father. It was really good. But I hopefully we will see a little bit of an upgrade in performance from Aston Martin, because they're just kind of like, they're just there, but it's not like,
There's still more to come from Aston Martin, though. I feel like their factory is only just finished. And in a similar vein to McLaren, actually, like McLaren have just finished their wind tunnel. They've just changed around their backroom staff. They've still got Sanchez to come from Ferrari next year. Like there's a lot going on behind the scenes at those two, where I feel like Red Bull and Mercedes are maybe a little bit more stable at this point, and Ferrari are just like an up in the air. Like you don't really ever know what's going on at Ferrari.
Is the correct term to use there.
Like, if you look at Red Bull, it's like Christian Horner, Adrian Newey, Max Verstappen, they're just going to be there. Like that is just Red Bull now, isn't it? Like those three in particular are like kind of the face of
Although Newey, again, this morning, I was reading an article saying he was like, I'm getting towards retirement now, which again, probably might have every other team celebrating. But I don't know, he didn't put an age on it, he didn't put a time on it, but it's getting there. You never know.
I mean, he's like 64 or something.
I have no idea.
He's been designing cars since like before all of us were born.
5 years old.
Yeah. Since he came out of the womb. But yeah, Newey for me, because like I really enjoy, like I really appreciate like great engineering, and he's obviously the best of all time in that sense.
Worth more than most of the drivers, if not all the drivers, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, any team he's gone to, like that team has been a front runner, or if not the best car on the grid.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to go to any team and just make them the best car on the grid, you are the most valuable asset of anyone in Formula 1.
100%.
Yeah, and exactly. And he does create these dominant periods in history. Obviously, Mercedes had their time, but in terms of having good aero, like there's no one that beats him. And so it's kind of like, mate, can you just like take a day off something, like do something to...
He did retire. Well, he did have like a sabbatical, didn't he? He went off.
He did, to
boats and stuff.
Well, it was building the Valkyrie.
Must have been a quick boat.
Yeah, I was gonna. Don't even have to row it. Yeah, it goes.
I mean, anyway, I think. What topic were we on?
We were talking about McLaren. We just went on a tangent. The McLaren.
But it's just the fact that like the McLaren team have that factory coming, and the Aston Martin team have that factory coming. Whereas like Red Bull, you'd say like they're also in a bit of a transitional period, but they've got Honda leaving, and they've got Adrian Newey leaving. Whereas like it feels like maybe the other teams are bringing people in. It's sort of And Mercedes also, they've got James Vowles leaving.
It's what Aston Martin have been doing. That's why they've been so good, is because they've just nabbed quite a few people from Red Bull in terms of engineers and stuff. So yeah, you're right. I think it'll be this cool convergence. Obviously, we've had the wind tunnel time as well, and obviously the cost cap too. I know we were talking about how dull we thought the race was, but it is actually really cool to see the actual lap times just coming together. I said the accordion thing earlier on.
That was good.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that.
But it's just bringing the rest of the field together. I mean, it was like it was a second between everyone in Austria. I think it was pretty similar here. It was like 9.5 tenths or something.
Yeah,
it's nice to see that we've got this variety almost of teams that are performing, and the closeness as well.
Yeah. Also got to realise as well, I know what you're saying about obviously it being so close within a second. The lap times around it isn't short, it's not the longest, but even still, absolutely. Yeah. Lovely accordion.
Yeah. I would love that.
I also think in terms of qualifying, that's the case. There's a big convergence, and it's easy to see because it's immediate. This is like everyone at their very, very best, but it's very hard to simulate race data. Well, you can take the lap times, but in context, it's like you don't know if the person has traffic on that lap. You don't know if they, were harvesting whatever for some reason, or they had reliability issues. And so you never really know the true pace in a race, which is where I feel the Red Bull is just on a different planet.
Because then when it gets to the race, it just off into the distance.
Exactly. And so